If you're a business owner and I was to ask you a question, what you thought the most important ingredient was to grow your business, I suspect a lot of you would say sales. We need more sales or more consistent sales. And I get it. I've been running a business for 35 years. I'm just like you. And along my journey, you of course get tuned into the world of sales and marketing that seems to only talk about get more sales, get more sales, get more sales. And whilst I don't disagree with their sentiments and I don't disagree with their logic of getting more sales, what I know from real life experience of talking to thousands of business owners over the past 35 years as we go about our career coaching, mentoring and operating as an accountant towards our clients, and also spending quite a lot of time with sales and marketing professionals, whether they be agencies or copywriters or marketing specialists around the world. They all think that sales is the most important thing. And I challenge them by saying, surely isn't profit the most important thing? And what I'm going to show you in a second, and once I've done this, I'm going to flip over to my laptop and actually show you a tool that you can go and try this out for yourself, absolutely free. You can just log into this web page, put some data in and test it for yourself. The data is not stored anywhere except your local browser, so you can just go and have a little play, because the tool that I've created for you is a thinking tool, and it's to get you to think differently about the sales target that you have in your mind and how that relates to the money in your pocket that you need to feed yourself and your family and enjoy life. And what you're going to find is that the tool has got 3 areas, but you're only going to need to touch 2 of them. The first area is over here. What is it that you want from your business? What's the profit after paying everything left over to feed your own family? What's that number? What's that number in the next 12 months? It could be 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, whatever that number is that you believe that's what you deserve for the efforts that you're putting in, put that number in there. Now, when we put that number in there, you're going to have to add in a few other bits of ingredients, nice and simple. And if you don't know them, make it up for now, just to see what it looks like. And it will give you a sales target. Then at the bottom of the screen, there's going to be some job cards. These job cards are for you to think about the next job or the next product or the next service that you sell or that you think you can sell to your clients. And you're going to put in there the sales price for that product or service, what it costs to deliver, not the overheads, but the actual cost to deliver. So if you need to employ labor or subcontractors, or you've got other things that you have to spend to deliver that service, what is that cost of sale? And how many do you think you might sell in the next 12 months? There's going to be a little area for several of these, and I'll go through that on the software. Now, when you do that, what we're doing is we're looking at sales and profit from 2 different angles. One is from the bottom up. We're going to say, this is what you want, upside down profit and loss, start at the bottom. That's going to be my sales figure. And over here, we're going to start with our sales to our customer, and we're going to check back to our sales target. And this figure here, this sales target, is going to be tested both ways. While we're at it, we're going to test the gross profit percentage both ways. You might find that is a really valuable figure or piece of information you need to understand. But more importantly, we're going to test your income from both angles. And if by any chance there's a shortfall in your thinking, this strategy bridge in the middle is going to show you what that shortfall is in real numbers based on your thinking of how you think about your client job and how you think about what you want. It's going to show you the shortfall. Now, I'm hoping that when you look at that shortfall, you look at it and go, that's interesting, I didn't realize that. What number have I got to change on my job card, or what number have I got to change on my upside down P&L that will get that figure to go from kind of red to, I think it's gold. Okay, we're gonna win. What I've got to do to win. And in doing so, you might realize an important factor. I don't know what that factor is, but I'm going to head on over to my laptop now, and I'm going to just show you how this works briefly. So this little profit reality calculator is dead simple to use. First things first, we're not storing any data in any files anywhere. You're not sending them to my servers. This tool is on your local web browser, and whatever you put in here, only you can see. If you get stuck somewhere and it's not working, just hit reset. It'll reset it to 0 and you can start again. If you wish to save the file, you can, and upload it, you can. And obviously if you're stuck, click here. If you're stuck, there's a little help screen there to go through this in a little more detail. But essentially you've got the upside down P&L here, and this is going to give you your sales target based on the lifestyle that you want, which we'll feed in here. Then you're going to have the strategy bridge, which is the results of the two. And then under here, down the bottom here, you've got a place to put your job cards or your pricing analysis. And I'm going to run through this now with a live job just to show you kind of how it works. So let's assume that you wanted to earn £250,000 as a profit. Get my zeros right. £250,000 as money for your lifestyle, to feed your family, to go on holiday and do the nice things that you want to do. That number can be any number you want. It can be 25,000. I'm just picking a number. And you might say, well, I don't know how much tax that is. Well, I don't know either, but £250,000, let's just assume that 10% would be 25, 20 would be 50, let's do 40. Let's put £100,000 worth of tax. Now, it might not be 100,000. You might save some money on that. Great. That can go in your pocket as well. What about a war chest? What about an amount of money that at the end of the year you've paid yourself, you've paid your taxes, but you've got a bit left over in the business to help support the business on rainy days when you need extra support? I don't know. Let's see if we can save £50,000. You might also have some loans to pay. You might have some finance for the business. This is just for the business. And let's say we've got £15,000 of repayments per year. Then you've got some fixed overheads and some variable overheads. Now, the fixed overheads are the sort of things that you know that you've got to spend money on, and it's a ballpark figure. You've got things like software and internet broadband, maybe rent, and a few other bits and pieces in there. And you might know what that is. In other words, what's the direct debits and standing orders going at your bank account every month, multiplied by 12. And let's say that comes to, I'll also put £15,000 into there. In fact, now let's put the 25 in there. Now, when it comes to variable costs, things like marketing, the more sales you do, the more you might want to spend on variable costs. So this figure here slides this way and creates that figure. The maths is not strictly true in conventional accounting terms, but it just gives you a flavour of what your variable costs could be. So you might say, well, it's 10%. Now, the next figure is critical because this is your gross profit margin. So at the moment it's default 50%. That means that in order to generate your sales, you might have to employ direct labor, you might have to employ subcontractors, you might have to buy in certain things or provide certain things to your customer, depending on what sort of trade you're running and what sort of business you're running. Now, if you don't know what your gross profit percentage is, that's a number that you really do need to understand. You kind of need to know all these numbers, really, and you'll get them from working with your bookkeeper and accountant and people like that. But look back at your previous accounts and see if you can discover what that gross profit percentage margin is, because that slider changes everything. So if I move the slider up to 100%, you only need £484,000 worth of sales. If I move it all down here, you need £4 million worth of sales. So you can see how important this figure is. So I'm going to set it at, let's set it at 70%. Okay. What this is telling us that if you need to take £250,000 out of your business, and these are the sort of figures that represent what's in your business, you're going to need close to £700,000 worth of sales as a sales target. Okay, that might shock you. That there may be a gap between your thinking there. Great, well, explore. What have we got wrong here? What do you need to change? What figure are you not including in your calculations here? And you literally can go back and change this over and over again. Now, this won't light up at all here until we start feeding information down here. If we take the jobs that we do, and I have jobs and clients that I work with, lots of clients, when I actually stop and analyze it, I've got small, medium and large projects that I work on. I might also have one or two other projects as well that I do within the year that don't quite fit into that category. You might have a different categorization. You might have local sales and international sales. You might have online and offline. You might have projects you do with the team, projects you do on your own. You might have a product that you sell, online or offline, doesn't matter. All I know is that at this stage, we've got to categorize it, and I'm giving you 3 categories to the point where you can change the description of what this says up here in each of these here. And if you need more categories, you can add a row and you can add a row. And what we've done is we've given you the facility to add 1, 2, 3 rows. You don't need any more than 9. You really don't. Otherwise, it just gets too complicated. So if we just take this simple example here and I said, okay, I've got a service that I offer, a small service that I offer, and let's say I offer that for £10,000, and the cost of running that service is £3,000. I do a little calculation of what it costs to run that service, and I sell 20 of them in the year. What it tells me is that will come to £200,000 worth of sales for the year at a 70% gross margin. Now, this figure over here for last year is just to give you a little bit of a reference, because you might not know that figure. So you're looking up last year's figures to put those figures in there just to look at it, because last year you might also have done 10,000 and you know that you sold 20 of them, or maybe you sold 15 of them last year and you've decided you want to sell 20 this year, and you know that the calculation was £3,000. Because now with just a change of this, what happens if we sold that for 12? Do you see how that changes the percentage by 5% just on that project? Okay, but here's the interesting thing. Because I've calculated that much in here, this is the effect on this sales figure up here. Number 1, I'm short of sales target. Okay, so it's telling me where I am with my figures and where I'm short. So it's about 35% at the moment. My projected personal income is going to take a hit. I'm only going to achieve £54,000 with those numbers instead of £250,000. So I'm £300,000 short in my figures. And but here is my percentage. Oh, that's flashing. That's better. Oh, it's 75%. My target is 70. I said 70 here, and now it's 75. So sometimes you're going to win and sometimes you're going to lose, but it's a case of these 3 numbers will make up all the difference. So what we now need is perhaps another product that we sell, and maybe we sell this one for £25,000, and maybe that costs us £5,000. I'm just guessing, I'm making up figures here, and let's say we sold 20 of those. Okay, now that I'm hitting target. In fact, I'm more than hitting target. Look how I've just changed to that. So maybe I only sell 10 of those, and now I'm shortfall of target by £100,000. So suddenly we can now start playing with the figures and setting ourselves a real target that says, actually, if I sell 20 of those and 15 of those, what will that come to? Oh, it'll do more than target. Yeah, it will do. Yeah, I'm going to make more money at that way. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, I meant to put that 15. Let's put that as 15. There we are. Okay. I can see the differences, but just changing these numbers, I can see the difference. What if I was to decrease my percentage? Okay. Now, the percentage doesn't change my overall cash required, but it just does change the amount of sales that I need to do. Okay. So the amount of sales that I need to do changes accordingly. And so these are the calculations that I'd love you to go and play with. Put some figures in, see what you think. And if you've got any queries, because you put your details in, you'll have my email address. Send me an email. Tell me your thoughts. Any questions? Come back at me. Otherwise, click here for more help. And I'll see you in the next video.